We're now halfway through the 2022 Formula 1 launch season as AlphaTauri became the 5th of the 10 teams to break cover with its AT03 Challenger and a revised livery. They say variety is the spice of life, and in F1 terms that means no launch or unveil is the same, as AlphaTauri revealed its car in a part catwalk, part video game, part horror film clip that featured no speaking and lasted for just 2 minutes and 42 seconds. But however brief, there were still some takeaways from the digital reveal as to how Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda's AT03 will turn out in the Barcelona shakedown next week. I'm Matt Kew, and I'm joined by motorsport.com F1 editor Jon Noble. Johnny, it's Monday, it's Valentine's Day, so A, thank you for spending it with me, but B, are you in love with the new AlphaTauri?
I think it's quite nice actually, bit of a weird launch really, the kind of merging between AlphaTauri, obviously the clothing brand and name of the team, and the car launch. So first of all, I had a 5-minute wait before the launch actually started, which was quite strange. So I think they were kind of obviously hoping everyone would be so eager to get on with it, and then a little quick reveal. So we've had 4 launches now, 5 launches now, all very different. We've had renders, we've had a fake show car, we've had some real cars, and now a little video fashion walk. But what I am quite liking is the real cars we have seen. There are these differences. We'd gone into the winter fearing that all the cars would be identical. There wouldn't be any innovation or exciting ideas. They'll all be boxed in. But actually, the more you look at them, the more details there are. And I think that's quite exciting as we go to the first test and the first race, because especially, we don't yet know what Red Bull are going to come up with, for example.
Yeah, we'll come back to sort of some of the tech secrets that were revealed just from the digital launch. But do you have a preference? You've got the Red Bull doing this long-winded launch to only show us a show car, and then their sort of effective sister team doing it short and snappy, but we got quite a lot more from it. But then the downside is, people in the comments, I think there's 53,000 watching live for the launch, and people going, "Is this it?" And we didn't hear a peep out of the drivers or the team principal. So is that frustrating for you? Because although you can speak to the drivers and set up interviews behind closed doors, for a lot of people, it goes as soon as it came.
Yeah, I think much better are the launches where you actually get to hear from the people involved, and even for us as the media to speak to them. I mean, so far we've had Haas gave us, we could speak to Gunther Steiner, just about the kind of the season ahead and the drivers, and then McLaren obviously had access to everybody. James Key, technical director, Zach Brown, Andreas Seidel, the drivers. We were there and got to see the car, which is great for us. You can ask the proper questions and find out what's really going on. And then you go to the other extreme of Red Bull pretending this is a new car and then actually just showing off an updated show car, really, and still sticking that this is their RB18 when it clearly isn't. So I think there's a bit of I think this launch season's highlighted what are these launches for? Who are they aimed at? Are they aimed at just for sponsors to keep them happy? Are they aimed at the fans? Because I'm sure the fans want to see a new car and not a show car. And where does the media fit in all this? So it's very different approaches from teams, but we also have different approaches during the season as well. So some teams are much more open and give you lots of access to people, and other teams just have the doors firmly shut and try to control it. So it varies. And I guess if every team was doing the same, it wouldn't be special when you did get the good launches and the good access.
Quite, although I have to say in my launch season bingo card, I did not have plugging in the steering wheel to effectively launch a nuclear missile that then was a Formula 1 car coming through a portal and then disintegrated into a load of pixels. But, it wasn't me masterminding that. And I suppose in hindsight, you probably could have taken a clue from the actual launch title, which was the style of the new era. So it's obviously about building on the brand. And speaking of that, a revised livery. So the white wheels have gone in favour of the wheel covers that are coming in, and we lose the red Honda logos, but it's sort of an evolution on the theme. I have to lay my cards on the table. I don't like white liveries in racing, because white to me, I know you have the iconic ones like Fina or Martini stripes, but white to me says unfinished. But what did you make of it?
I quite like. I mean, it's basically a bit of a switcheroo, isn't it? They've kind of swapped the blue and the white this year. But I do think the car looked good last year, and I do like the colours. I do prefer the F1 cars being quite matte with their colours and not too shiny. I think it looked neat. I think it looks neat again. I mean, I also quite liked, having just said I like the matte colours, I thought the McLaren on Friday looked great. And this kind of vibrant fluorescent orange and much brighter blue. Just a nice variety, a nice sim doing something different. So I think the days where it used to be years we'd have lots of all red cars or all blue cars or all white cars. At least we are getting a bit of variety things mixed up a little bit now. So I like the AlphaTauri. I think it looks good.
Happy days. And you only had sort of a couple of hours to sort of mull over what we were shown, but although it was obviously pared back from what will be rolled out at Barcelona, and it was sort of more of a digital concept, what were the key sort of tech takeaways? I noticed straight away that, compared to the show car, we've got these really squared off sort of side pod inlets. What other sort of revelations did you see compared to, I suppose, McLaren and particularly Aston, with a sort of benchmark so far?
Yeah, side pods has been the big variation so far between teams. We've seen lots of very different approaches. You've got the kind of Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri, and even the Haas solution, which is quite compact. And then McLaren have done something a little bit different with different cooling structures, and obviously Aston have got the cooling vents on top of theirs as well. So we've seen variation in the side pods. AlphaTauri has seen a bit of variation on the nose as well. So the cars we've seen so far haven't attached the front main plane on the front wing to the nose. AlphaTauri have. But I think with all these teams, we aren't seeing the areas and details that are real performance drivers. I noticed that the McLaren launch on Friday, when you look down the back of the car, they'd blocked off the diffuser, so you couldn't see underneath the car. Look at the images of the AlphaTauri today, very dark, very basic images of the floor and diffuser area. So I think the real secrets are being kept secret, obviously, for now. And they'll try and keep them as hidden as they can at the test. But once the cars are out on track, then all the teams have their photographers taking pictures, and they'll be downloaded and sent back to the factories. So it'll be an interesting first week just to see what the teams have done, and especially this area underneath the floor, because I think that'll be the big performance driver this year.
Yeah, but as you say, it was sort of there are some sort of clear distinctions. Obviously, Aston Martin, what really stood out was the gills effectively over the top of the side pods for cooling. This, although they are distinct teams, AlphaTauri and Red Bull, it looks to me much more like the Adrian Newey, I suppose, sort of trademark Coke bottle shape. And then as for what happens with the suspension, we've seen speculation, I suppose, over Haas, whether they were eagerly macking out bits of suspension to make it look possibly pull rod, possibly push rod. So we'll see with that. But any further takeaways from what you expect to see with the suspension?
Yeah, it seems that they've gone push rod. We know McLaren have gone pull rod at the front, as people expected, and they've gone push rod at the rear just because of the benefits of the where you need to kind of lift the floor for the diffuser now. So far, AlphaTauri has gone push rod at the front. So I think James Key from McLaren on Friday said that there doesn't seem to be much performance difference between the two, but it's just your kind of preference in terms of where you want the nose situated, centre of gravity. Car handling wise, it probably won't make much difference. So it'd be interesting to see which solution, for example, Red Bull have gone down. Are they going to go, pull rod, push rod like McLaren? Will they do a double push rod? So it's interesting. There are these variations. And I'm sure what we're also going to see this year is that we'll have variations on this front, and maybe one solution will turn out to be the best way. And suspension configuration is not something you can change one race to the next. It's a pretty hefty project, probably something you wouldn't even be able to do in season, especially under the budget cap. So it may well be we'll have variation this year, and then going into 2023, everyone will converge and think this was the best solution.
I've noticed as well, you've been speaking to team boss Franz Tost. Is there anything to be worried about in some of his comments, that he's really playing down the expectation that cars will be able to follow more easily, particularly through the higher speed corners? Did you get sort of a particularly pessimistic takeaway from that conversation with him?
Yeah, this wasn't. They've not held a media thing. It's just Q&As they've issued on their website, which a lot of teams prefer to do. So they control the message for now rather than let us ask the hard questions and get in there. But it was just an interesting comment, because a lot of the focus has been on the 22 rules and allowing cars to follow each other much closer, which should improve the racing. It's an aspect that we don't know yet. It's all only been done in CFD simulations by F1. We've not had 22 cars running close together out on track yet, and it's something that will kind of crop up, I'm sure, on the first day of Barcelona. One of the first questions we'll want to ask the drivers is, did you follow another car closer? Is it any better? And I think it's a question that drivers also will like to know. I don't think we'll have a 100% perfect solution where an F1 car is going to be able to sit right under the gearbox of the car in front for the entire lap. So there will be some turbulence, as happens in any category, even in touring cars, which isn't so aero dependent. They can't follow as close in all corners as you may imagine. But if it improves, and if they don't have this massive drop off in performance when they're 2 seconds back, I think that will be a step forward, and may well be enough to allow more overtaking, closer racing, and a bit more fun out there.
If you look at the Constructors' Championship from last year, AlphaTauri finished 6th, and that must surely be the ballpark they're aiming for, because if you look at the running order, you've got Aston Martin below them, who look to have quite a compelling package, and there's lots of positive noise emanating out of Team Silverstone. And you look above them, above AlphaTauri, and it's Alpine, and they look maybe the most vulnerable to slipping back, particularly with the turmoil in terms of team management and structure. So, as sort of unglamorous as it is it just maintaining a status quo and keeping Gasly and Tsunoda sort of happy and the fringes of the points? Is that the best they can hope for?
I think probably slightly better, actually. I think they underperformed points-wise last season. That car was super quick. We saw endless qualifyings. Pierre Gasly, a regular contender in Q3. Should have been times, I think, where he grabbed more podiums, but there were Sundays where they just didn't click, whether it was an accident for Pierre. You look at the first race in Bahrain where he tagged Daniel Ricciardo. He got tagged up in Monza in the sprint race, which dropped him back. They had the woeful tyre problems in Qatar when Pierre, could have been leading the race after lap 1, having benefited from all the penalties dished out. So I think they didn't maximise their Sundays as much last year. Plus, Yuki cost them a lot of points. Great speed, but few too many wobbles during the season. Didn't bring home the points. So I think if you had 2 Pierre Gaslys in that car last year, they would have, easily finished ahead of Alpine. I think they've got to be targeting, moving forward and stepping forward, and the opportunity afforded by these new rules. Because as well as the cars are supposed to be closer, we've got a budget cap coming in place, and this should help the teams that have been operating under the budget cap. So I think in their mind, I think if they finish 6th again, it'd be a disappointment. I think they want to be targeting, 5th, 4th place. And maybe that slim dream that all the teams have, that they've found something in these rules that the others haven't, and they can be pushing up even further.
Well, I think obviously we've seen what Gasly can do when everything's in his favour. I think with Tsunoda, it's obviously not only performing at a higher level, but also not talking himself out of a seat for 2023, which I think he probably came a bit close to. As much as we like drivers to have personality, there's also a bit where perhaps you are so new to the sport that you need to sort of toe the party line a bit better, perhaps.
Yeah, I think last year was a big kind of wake-up call for Yuki about the step that Formula One is above anything he's done before. He admitted, we spoke to him in Abu Dhabi last year, and he admitted after Bahrain, he thought, this is easy. I've come in, scored some points, overtaken Fernando Alonso, didn't really have any difficulties that weekend, and it was all there. And even after Imola, when he had that big crash in qualifying, he thought, oh well, that's just part of the learning experience. He knew he was going to crash when he hit the brakes at the chicane, so I wasn't too concerned about it. But I think as the instance kind of ratcheted up, the pressure came from the team management, his confidence went down, and he got trapped in this spiral, which I think then triggered moments like Spain, where he accused the team of not helping out enough to push him forward as much as they were helping Pierre. So there were these flashpoints, but I think it's part of the learning exercise of any rookie in Formula One. You've got to handle yourself on track and off it. And he remains outspoken when he called himself a lazy bastard at the end of the year for having played too much PlayStation at the start of it and not being prepared enough for races. We want these characters. But I think you can have this good balance between being outspoken, saying what you think, and not it becoming a problem for the team. And I think Yuki can find that balance, especially if he gets the results on track. Because if you're delivering on track, then your team, I don't think, particularly care too much what you say.
No, absolutely. And judging by some of the clobber he was wearing for that launch, it's worth hanging around because it's good sort of fashion blag for both drivers. But I think we'll leave it there, John. So thank you very much for joining me. And just to let you know, there'll obviously be another 5 car launches, and we'll have comprehensive coverage of those. And of course, the testing shakedown at Barcelona. That'll all be across Autosport.com and Motorsport.com. So thank you very much, and stay tuned, because I think next time we'll be here with coverage of Williams and Ferrari, who are next in line to launch.